Let's get right into the tropics. As of right now, there are 3 tropical systems that we are watching, and one is already a tropical storm. Last video said that could be the last video I talked about Hurricane Gert, and it's true. Gert is irrelevant, but let me roll the Milky Way commercial one last time.
We're Gert's.
Sorry, I was eating a Milky Way.
So Gert is in the history books, but with Gert dying, there is still not any downtime in the tropics. We've got 3 systems. One's Tropical Storm Harvey. Yes, Harvey formed. Second is Invest 92L, and the third system is what potentially can be Invest 93L, but right now it's just an area to watch. So let's dive deep into all of those 3 systems. Tropical Storm Harvey formed yesterday at 40 miles per hour, and as of today, it's still 40 miles per hour. Harvey's at 105 millibars, and it kind of just looks like a blob on all the satellite imagery. The system as a whole looks good. Harvey has nice, powerful convection popping up right at the center. Tropical storm warnings and watches were issued for the Lesser Antilles and all those islands in the Caribbean. But as of right now, Harvey is pulling away from all those islands, so all of the islands already experienced their worst conditions. Earlier this morning, Harvey's center really didn't have any convection. That was because of wind shear blowing off all those high tops. But now since Harvey is pulling away from that wind shear, thunderstorms have started to pick up near Harvey's center. Harvey is going to track due west all across the Caribbean Sea, and Harvey is expected to strengthen, especially with little to no wind shear and the warm waters of the Caribbean Sea. The National Hurricane Center is predicting that Harvey is going to reach a max potential of 70 miles per hour before it makes landfall in Belize or somewhere on the coast of Honduras, or maybe even Nicaragua now. But I'm going to say it again, just like Franklin. Harvey is going to become a hurricane. I was right with Franklin. Hopefully, I'm right with Harvey. But haven't I said in previous videos that Invest 91L is going to form? It's just a matter of when. And it formed yesterday, and that became Harvey. But Harvey's gonna track due west. So all the people in Belize and Honduras need to start watching out for Harvey. All the models are in agreement that Tropical Storm Harvey is gonna track due west over the Caribbean Sea. And all the models are really agreeing that Harvey's gonna make 3 landfalls. The first landfall is gonna be on the coast of Honduras. The second landfall is gonna be on the coast of Belize. And then Harvey's gonna take that northward turn over the Yucatan Peninsula, then reach the Bay of Campeche, just like Franklin, re-strengthen again, and make a 3rd landfall somewhere along the Mexican coastline, just like Franklin. The question is Tropical Storm Harvey going to become a hurricane, or even stronger than a Category 1 hurricane, before it makes any of those landfalls? All the models don't really have Tropical Storm Harvey becoming a hurricane. Most of them stop at a high-end tropical storm. But I'm saying it's going to become a Category 1 hurricane. The atmosphere is just too perfect for Harvey not to become a hurricane. And if Harvey does that, Harvey's going to become the 3rd hurricane already of this 2017 hurricane season. The European model has Tropical Storm Franklin making the exact same landfall as Tropical Storm Franklin, almost to the T. But the European model doesn't really develop Harvey at all. Makes it landfall as like a 50 mile per hour tropical storm. Very weak. But the GFS has Tropical Storm Harvey making landfall in Nicaragua as a high-end tropical storm, but nowhere near a hurricane. The GFS has Tropical Storm Harvey making landfall, but then it's going to take that northward turn and re-emerge over the Bay of Campeche, where it's going to re-strengthen and then make a 2nd landfall, according to the GFS, somewhere along the coast of Mexico. Kind of like Hurricane Franklin. The models aren't in agreement. The National Hurricane Center is not in agreement with the models. So right now there's a lot of room for error. But the Tropical Storm Franklin is going to travel due west over the Caribbean Sea for about 5 days before it makes a first landfall. So we have 5 days to pinpoint where is Franklin going, how strong is it going to be. You're going to know that within the next upcoming days. But now let's talk about the US threat in Invest 92L. The National Hurricane Center has Invest 92L at a 70% chance to develop within 48 hours and also a 70% chance to develop within 5 days. The National Hurricane Center has Invest 92L tracking west-northwest, and that would take it right to the Bahamas and eventually South Florida. And that's where things get interesting. 92L is looking very impressive on all the satellite imagery right now. It's looking better than Harvey, and that's a tropical storm. The National Hurricane Center said it won't take much for Invest 92L to become a tropical depression. But they also said in the coming days, the environment's not going to become as favorable as it is right now. But I'll get into that in a minute. Honestly, Invest 92 is looking really good. It has very nice thunderstorm convection right near the center, and that convection is strong. The National Hurricane Center is giving it a 70% chance to develop, so it's more likely than not that Invest 92L is going to develop. But what are the models doing with this? And yet again, the National Hurricane Center is not on the same page with the models, and the models are not on the same page with the National Hurricane Center. The models are in agreement that Invest 92L is going to track west-northwest, affect most of the Bahamas, and possibly make landfall in South Florida. Yes, South Florida, as of right now. But if you look at the intensity forecast, the forecast on how strong Invest 92L is going to be, all the models are practically in agreement that Invest 92L is not going to become a tropical storm. But some models have it going all the way to a Category 1 status. So we don't really know with the system. But both the GFS and the European model have Invest 92L making a landfall right in South Florida. But both models have Invest 92L making landfall as a very weak upper level low. It almost has no thunderstorms to it compared to right now, where if it made landfall right now, it would bring a lot of rain. But both models have Invest 92L making landfall as just like a speck, just a normal day in Miami. And that's because both models are predicting that wind shear is going to tear apart the system. All the models have Invest 92L getting ripped up by wind shear. But here's the dilemma. Invest 92L will most likely get ripped up by wind shear, but that's not a guarantee. Invest 92L could also have a short window to rapidly develop into a possible hurricane, a possible tropical storm or depression. Invest 92L might have that very slight window to rapidly develop. And that would be right next to South Florida and in the Bahamas. But yet again, Invest 92L is a waiting game. 4 days from now, we are going to know all we need to know about Tropical Storm Harvey and all we need to know about Invest 92L. But that's 4 days away. And as of right now, it's all a mystery. But there's a third system which I'm gonna have to touch on. That's Future 93L. As of right now, the National Hurricane Center is giving Future Invest 93L a 10% chance to develop within 48 hours, but a moderate 40% chance to develop within 5 days. If this system develops, it's not going to affect any land, and it's just going to be a fish storm, just like Hurricane Gert. So everyone doesn't really care about that system when we already have two systems on our hand that could affect land. That's what matters. And that's Tropical Storm Harvey and Invest 92L. Both those systems are a mystery, but we are going to find out all about them in the next upcoming days. That's it for your tropic update, and I'll see you in the next one.